1. The knowledge they never wanted you to have. I'm going to speak plainly. What I am about to share isn't the kind of story your father told you at bedtime. It wasn't drilled into you at school. It's not something society encourages you to know. Most men will live their entire lives completely blind to it, and that is exactly how the system intends. Once this knowledge reaches you, life divides into two eras, the time before and the time after. 5 centuries ago, Machiavelli laid bare truths about human behavior so dangerous that the church banned his writings. Kings, generals, and leaders studied them in secret, even as they publicly condemned them. Machiavelli didn't write speculation, he outlined how humans actually operate, not how we wish they did. Here's the most frightening part. Those who already understand these rules use them against you every single day. In boardrooms, in politics, in relationships, in life itself, they are playing chess while you're still fumbling with checkers. So why weren't you taught this? The answer is simple. Their mentors didn't know it either. And society has trained you to believe that seeing the truth makes you cynical, that mastering influence makes you manipulative, that understanding power makes you evil. But here's the reality. Ignorance isn't virtue, it is weakness. Starting now, you can begin to see the world differently, to become strong, dangerous, and untouchable. Once you internalize these truths, human interaction will never appear the same again. Humans are not rational. They act based on feelings, appearances, and desire, not reason. And the people who know this will always have the upper hand. They already do. Persuade with reason, to show others the logical path. But facts don't move people. Feelings do. The man who controls emotions, the one who bypasses logic and speaks directly to the heart, dominates every room he enters. He doesn't waste energy proving he's right. He makes others feel he is right, and that is infinitely more powerful. Look at history's most effective manipulators. Hitler didn't rise to power with spreadsheets. He rose through speeches that inflamed anger, hope, and fear. Corporations don't make billions by explaining the chemical formula of soda, they sell happiness in a bottle. Religions don't spread through philosophical debates, they captivate the heart with the promise of paradise and the threat of damnation. And this explains why you lose arguments, why your advice is ignored, why people slip through your grasp. Humans are addicts of emotion, chasing feelings above all else. 2. People are driven by emotion, not logic. You've been told your whole life that humans are rational beings, that we weigh choices, calculate outcomes, and decide based on reason. That's a lie. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago when he wrote, "Men judge more by what they see than by what they feel, because everyone can see, but few can feel." In other words, people act according to appearances, illusions, and what feels right, not what actually is right. Here's the brutal truth. Most people don't want honesty, they want comfort. Consider the friend who begs for advice about a failing relationship but ignores your guidance when the truth stings. The coworker who complains about being broke yet wastes money on daily indulgences. The woman who swears she wants a kind, dependable partner yet repeatedly falls for someone who treats her like an option. Logic disappears the moment desire or fear takes over. Reason evaporates when confronted with lust, status, or comfort. This is the game, and you've been playing it all wrong because you've been told to argue with facts, to persuade with reason, to show others the logical path. But facts don't move people, feelings do. The man who controls emotions, the one who bypasses logic and speaks directly to the heart, dominates every room he enters. He doesn't waste energy proving he's right. He makes others feel he is right, and that is infinitely more powerful. Look at history's most effective manipulators. Hitler didn't rise to power with spreadsheets. He rose through speeches that inflamed anger, hope, and fear. Corporations don't make billions by explaining the chemical formula of soda, they sell happiness in a bottle. Religions don't spread through philosophical debates, they captivate the heart with the promise of paradise and the threat of damnation. And this explains why you lose arguments, why your advice is ignored, why people slip through your grasp. Humans are addicts of emotion, chasing feelings above all else. The first dark lesson: stop trying to persuade minds with facts. Begin shaping emotions instead. Want people to follow you? Make them feel good about themselves. Want to influence a partner? Let them taste the pain of losing you or the joy of pleasing you. Want to dominate in business? Forget data, tell the story that convinces your audience you are inevitable. The man who debates with facts is a teacher. The man who manipulates emotions is a king. Once you understand this, you will see through every mask people wear. Politicians' smiles, influencers, brands, co-workers, excuses, all designed to protect feelings, not reveal truth. 3. Predators and prey. Once you understand that humans are ruled by emotion rather than reason, the next truth becomes unavoidable. The world is divided into predators and prey. Strip away politeness, rules, and morality, and you see the oldest law of nature: the strong take, the weak are taken from. Here's the hidden cruelty. Weakness doesn't just fail to protect you, it attracts predators. Think about it. Bullies target the quiet kid, not the fighter. Companies cut the weakest employees first. Women leave the man who bends easily and cling to the one who stands firm. Predators always choose the easiest target. Machiavelli wrote, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both, not because fear is noble, but because fear keeps the wolves away. Love without strength invites betrayal. Fear without love commands survival." Here's another layer most men never see. Weakness doesn't just harm the man himself. It corrupts everyone around him. A weak man drains the strong. He forces others to carry him. And when the strong are exhausted, either they abandon him or they collapse together. A cruel man stands alone. A weak man becomes a black hole, dragging others down. Society tells men to be harmless, to soften themselves, to embrace weakness under the guise of sensitivity or moral virtue. But a man who cannot defend himself, his family or his reputation is not virtuous. He is a liability. Strength is not optional, it is essential. Once you internalize this, you will see that every interaction is a test. Who is predator? Who is prey? Who sets the rules? And who blindly follows them? This is why women chase men who radiate strength, why leaders rise to power, and why the world rewards those who are bold rather than kind. The choice is yours. Will you be predator or prey? For niceness is not goodness. Most men grow up believing that being nice is the path to success. Be polite, agreeable, don't make waves, and everyone will like you. That's a lie. Niceness is not the same as goodness. Niceness is avoidance. It's avoiding conflict out of fear. It's saying what people want to hear so you'll be liked. It's seeking approval, hoping for scraps of validation. Weak men chase approval. They bend, they yield, they hide their strength, and what do they get in return? Nothing but exploitation and contempt. Goodness, on the other hand, is something entirely different. It requires courage. It requires standing firm when it's uncomfortable. It's speaking truths that others fear to hear. It's acting with principle, even when it brings criticism or hatred. Good men earn respect. Nice men seek approval. Look at history's greatest leaders: Caesar, Alexander, Napoleon. Were they nice? Not remotely. They could be generous or merciful, yes, but only when it served their power. They did not bend for the approval of others. They did not tremble at rejection. They did not fear being disliked, and that is why they were followed. In today's world, influential men operate the same way. CEOs, presidents, champions, they are strategic, they are fair, but unyielding. They protect those who stand with them, but they do not bow to approval. They do not waste energy trying to be liked. The lesson is clear. You can be kind without being weak. You can be good without being nice. Strength paired with kindness is magnetic. Weakness disguised as niceness is repulsive. Stop chasing approval, start demanding respect, because among love, fear, and being ignored, the worst fate for a man is to be invisible. 5. Reputation is your armor. Once you understand human nature, the next truth is unavoidable. Reputation is everything. Your true self matters far less than what others believe you are. Machiavelli wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." People react to perception, not reality. And perception is the weapon and shield of power. A strong reputation protects you. It opens doors, commands respect, and deters enemies. A weak reputation destroys you, even if your abilities are real. Think of Alexander the Great. He didn't just conquer lands. He built myths about himself, spreading the story that he was invincible. His enemies believed it before the first battle even began. In modern times, CEOs, politicians, and influencers do the same. They shape perception to bend reality in their favor. Most men fail because they misunderstand this. They confuse authenticity with oversharing. They reveal weaknesses, fears, and doubts, hoping it will earn them respect. It doesn't. The world doesn't reward the unmasked truth. It rewards strategic appearances. Control how others see you. Present yourself as capable, decisive, and strong. Reveal just enough to inspire trust. Hide enough to protect your intentions. Your reputation is like fire. Unattended, it dies. Uncontrolled, it burns you. But when wielded carefully, it illuminates, warms, and commands fear. Without a strong reputation, even allies hesitate, and enemies are emboldened. Guard it fiercely, more fiercely than money or relationships. Your reputation is the armor that shields you from betrayal. With it, you survive. Without it, you are already exposed. 6. Trust is glass. Trust is fragile. Once shattered, it never returns to its original state. Machiavelli observed this truth centuries ago, and you can see it in every corner of life today. People talk endlessly about loyalty, but what they really mean is convenience. Loyalty exists only as long as it serves their interests. This is why you must treat trust like glass. Handle it carefully, but never forget it can break at any moment. When people trust you, they will hand you their secrets, their loyalty, even their lives. But when that trust cracks, whether by betrayal, failure, or weakness, they will never look at you the same again. And here's the harsh truth. Once someone doubts you, even for a second, that shadow lingers forever. Think of powerful men brought down not by enemies, but by betrayal from those closest to them. Julius Caesar wasn't destroyed on the battlefield, he was stabbed by his own senators, men he thought were allies. Kings, presidents, CEOs. History is littered with giants who trusted too much. So what do? You manage trust strategically, give it out carefully. Never assume loyalty is permanent. Reward those who prove themselves, but always remain watchful. A friend today can be a rival tomorrow. A lover today can be a stranger or an enemy tomorrow. At the same time, protect how others trust you. Guard your word. Keep your promises when they serve your purpose. Let people believe in your reliability, because that belief is power. But never grow naive. Never assume someone will act against their own self-interest just to protect you. Trust is glass. Handle it well, and it reflects light and beauty. Drop it once, and it shatters forever. 7. Enemies are inevitable. If you rise, you will make enemies. It is not a possibility, it is a certainty. The only men without enemies are those who never stood for anything, who never claimed power, who never dared to assert themselves. The moment you decide to lead, compete, or excel, you invite resistance, and that is how it should be. Machiavelli taught that it is far safer to be feared than to be loved, because love depends on the moods of others, while fear depends only on your ability to enforce consequences. Love fades, fear endures. A man who tries to avoid enemies by pleasing everyone becomes weak, forgettable, and easily discarded. A man who embraces conflict, who accepts that hatred is the price of respect, cannot be ignored. Look at history's giants. Every great leader was hated. Caesar had enemies, Napoleon had enemies, Lincoln had enemies. Their opposition was proof of their power, not a sign of failure. Weak men try to avoid conflict. Strong men create it, survive it, and grow stronger because of it. Enemies sharpen you. They force you to adapt, to think, to defend what is yours. They remind the world and yourself that your strength is real, not just an illusion. And sometimes, enemies are more useful than friends. They rally your supporters, they expose your weaknesses, and they ensure you never grow complacent. So do not fear making enemies, fear being invisible, fear being so harmless, so agreeable, that no one considers you worth opposing. The presence of enemies means you matter. It means you are dangerous. Better to be respected through fear than forgotten through love. 8. Ruthlessness and mercy. Here lies one of the darkest lessons of power. To lead, you must be willing to be ruthless. Mercy has its place, but only when it serves your strategy. If you make the mistake of being merciful when you should be decisive, it will cost you dearly. Weak leaders believe mercy is a virtue in itself. Strong leaders know mercy is a tool useful only when it strengthens their position. Machiavelli gave this warning clearly. Cruelty, when used swiftly and decisively, can actually be more merciful in the long run than endless hesitation. A single act of ruthless discipline creates order. Endless softness creates chaos that harms everyone. Think of a general who enforces discipline with severity at the start of a campaign. Soldiers may fear him, but because order is established, fewer lives are lost in the long run. Compare this to a commander who refuses to punish failure, who allows disobedience to spread eventually. His entire army collapses, and thousands die because of his kindness. Look to history. When Alexander the Great suppressed rebellions, he did it quickly and ruthlessly. The message was clear. Disobedience had consequences. As a result, future cities surrendered before battle even began. Now contrast that with leaders who try to appease their enemies' chamberlain-esque appeasement. Of Hitler is the classic example. Mercy and compromise only delayed the inevitable, and the eventual conflict was far more destructive. Even in personal life, the same principle applies. If a man in your circle betrays you, hesitation only invites further betrayal. A swift and decisive response sends a signal. Betrayal will never be tolerated. If a partner disrespects you, endless forgiveness only encourages more disrespect. A single firm boundary, enforced without compromise, prevents years of erosion. But here's the nuance most men miss. Cruelty must be clean. It must be precise. Uncontrolled rage, drawn-out punishment, or constant harshness breeds hatred that cannot be contained. Ruthlessness must be rare, surgical, and unforgettable. That is why Machiavelli said it is better to inflict all necessary cruelty at once, than shift to mercy. Strike hard when you must, then stop. This leaves people fearful, but grateful when you later show generosity. Mercy, when used sparingly, becomes a gift that strengthens loyalty. People never forget genuine forgiveness after punishment. They remember the one who had the power to destroy them, yet chose not to. That kind of mercy binds people far tighter than endless leniency ever could. So remember this paradox. A leader to cruel loses his people. A leader to merciful loses his power. The man who combines ruthlessness with selective mercy commands both fear and loyalty, and that combination is unstoppable. 9. Fortune, risk, and boldness. Machiavelli taught that fortune, the unpredictable chaos of life, controls half of what happens to us, but the other half is ours to command. And that half, he argued, belongs not to the cautious but to the bold. Fortune favors the man who dares, the man who acts, the man who is willing to take risks others shy away from. Think of fortune like a raging river. You cannot stop the flood, but you can build channels, dams, and pathways to control its flow. The timid man fears the river and stands frozen on the shore. The bold man dives in, redirects the current, and uses its power to carry him further than he could ever walk. History makes this truth undeniable. Julius Caesar could have lived a comfortable life as a politician in Rome. Instead, he crossed the Rubicon, a gamble so great it was practically suicide. Yet that one act of audacity placed a crown upon his head and his name into eternity. Napoleon risked everything time and again, and though his empire eventually collapsed, his legend outlived entire dynasties. Alexander, barely out of his teens, launched into conquests across the known world, gambling his life repeatedly. Men who dare too little are forgotten. Men who dare too much are remembered forever. Even in modern life, fortune rewards boldness. Think of the entrepreneur who invests his last savings in a business while others cling to their jobs. Most will fail, but those who succeed rewrite the rules of industries. Think of the fighter who takes the dangerous match, risking defeat, but earning respect from the entire world if he wins. Think of the man who dares to speak truth in a room full of silence. He commands attention, even if he risks rejection. The cautious man believes safety will protect him, but safety is an illusion. Playing it safe guarantees mediocrity, not survival. The world shifts too quickly, and those who refuse to adapt, who cling to security, are eventually swept away by those willing to take risks. Machiavelli compared fortune to a woman. She favors the young, the bold, the daring, those who seize her with force rather than beg for her attention. Fortune does not reward hesitation. She despises timidity. She belongs to those who act with audacity. But there is strategy in risk. Blind recklessness is suicide. The man who bets everything at every turn is doomed to fail eventually. Boldness must be measured, calculated, and deliberate. Caesar crossed the Rubicon only when he knew hesitation meant death. Alexander struck only when the opportunity was ripe. Boldness must be paired with timing, or it becomes waste. The lesson is this: fortune is not fair, and she will not wait. The timid man wastes years hoping for the perfect moment. The bold man creates the moment and bends fortune to his will. 10. Deception and masks. Power is not built on honesty, it's built on perception. And perception is crafted through deception. Machiavelli warned us leaders must learn to lie when necessary, to mask their intentions, to appear virtuous even when they act out of cold calculation. Why? Because people judge appearances, not reality. Every man wears a mask, whether he admits it or not. At work, you wear one mask. With your friends, another. In romance, yet another. Weak men think removing the mask makes them authentic. Strong men understand the mask is the weapon. Authenticity is a luxury the powerful cannot afford. Think of politics. Do you really believe presidents, kings, or CEOs reveal their full truth to the public? No, they stage it. They project confidence when they are uncertain. They show unity when divisions rage behind the curtain. They smile while plotting. Their masks protect them. Because if people saw the raw truth, the fear, the doubt, the calculation, they would lose their grip on power instantly. History confirms it. Julius Caesar presented himself as the humble servant of Rome, even as he maneuvered toward dictatorship. Napoleon crowned himself emperor while claiming to fight for liberty. Corporations run advertisements about caring for the planet while poisoning rivers behind closed doors. Religion dresses itself in humility while building vast empires of wealth. The mask is not deception, it is survival. You may think lying is immoral, but here's the truth: everyone lies. Your boss pretends he values you more than he does. Your partner hides things to avoid conflict. Your friends exaggerate stories to appear greater. Lies grease the wheels of human interaction. Without them, society would collapse. The key is not to avoid deception, but to master it. Learn to project what others need to see. Show strength when you are weak. Show calm when you are furious. Show loyalty when you are planning your own path. Deception is not about constant lying, it is about selective illusion, about giving the right appearance at the right time. But be warned, never let your masks slip by accident. If people catch you in a lie, if they see behind the curtain without your permission, trust shatters instantly. Control the reveal. Control the narrative. Always give people just enough truth to keep them believing, while hiding what they don't need to see. The man who rejects masks is devoured by the world. The man who masters them walks through life untouchable. 11. Morality is a cage. Since childhood, you've been told there's right and wrong. You've been taught that honesty is rewarded, that good men prosper, that integrity always wins in the end. It sounds comforting, doesn't it? But Machiavelli ripped that illusion apart centuries ago. He saw what most men refuse to admit. Morality is not truth, it is control. Who defines what's good? Who decides what's evil? It's not you. It's not the masses, it's the ones in power. Rulers, priests, governments, corporations, they shape morality for their own benefit. When kings needed soldiers, they called it honor to die in battle. When empires wanted obedience, they preached that submission was virtue. When elites wanted to crush dissent, they labeled rebellion as evil. And the masses believed it, because morality wasn't designed to liberate them. It was designed to chain them. Look back through history. The church burned men alive. not because they were evil, but because their ideas threatened the church's control. Slavery was justified as natural and moral by the same nations that proclaimed liberty. Modern governments bomb cities and call it defending freedom. Morality bends to power like grass bends to the wind. And here's the hypocrisy. The powerful rarely follow the morality they enforce. They tell you lying is wrong, then deceive you daily. They tell you greed is evil, while hoarding more wealth than entire nations. They tell you violence is barbaric, while waging endless wars. Why? Because morality is not a law of the universe, it's a tool. A leash to keep the herd in line while the shepherds do as they please. Machiavelli didn't say discard morality entirely. He said wield it. Appear virtuous when it serves your goals. Appear compassionate when it strengthens your reputation. Appear loyal when it secures alliances. But when morality threatens your survival, your ambition, your power, drop it like a mask. Break the rule, bend the code, step outside the cage, because the man who clings to morality as an absolute will be crushed by those who use it as a weapon. He'll play fair in a rigged game while his enemies cheat without hesitation. He'll sacrifice himself for rules his rulers don't even obey. And in the end, he won't be remembered as noble. He'll be remembered as weak. But the man who sees morality clearly, who knows it's just another battlefield, another mask, another illusion that man can bend it to his will. He can appear righteous while doing what must be done. He can gain the benefits of seeming good without the cost of being chained by it. He will not be the pawn obeying someone else's code. He will be the king who writes the code himself. That is the real law. Do not be trapped by morality. Use it as a sword when it suits you, as a shield when it protects you, and as a costume when it wins you followers. But never ever confuse morality with truth. 12. Fear and reward. The two levers of power. Strip away the layers of politics, religion, business, and even family life, and you'll find the same machinery at work everywhere. Fear and reward. These are the levers by which men are controlled, and Machiavelli knew it with brutal clarity. Humans do not move because of abstract ideals. They move because of immediate sensations, the promise of pleasure or the threat of pain. Everything else is decoration. Think about it. Kings do not keep their crowns because people truly love them. They keep them because subjects fear their wrath more than they hate their rule. Corporations do not retain employees by preaching loyalty. They dangle promotions and threaten unemployment. Parents do not raise children by wisdom alone. They use punishments and rewards every single day. This is the hidden economy of power. Love, morality, loyalty, all of them are built on top of these two primal forces. He who controls both controls men. Look around you. The politician who campaigns with promises of safety while stoking fear of enemies. The preacher who paints visions of paradise while warning of eternal damnation. The CEO who terrifies his staff with layoffs, then lures them with bonuses. The lover who withholds affection to cause pain, then floods you with warmth to create euphoria. None of this is accidental. These are deliberate tactics rooted in human psychology. Most men fail because they rely on only one lever. Some try to lead with endless love, showering gifts and approval until their rewards lose all value. Others rely on fear, ruling through cruelty until resentment boils into rebellion. Both approaches collapse. Machiavelli revealed the secret. The art lies in balance. Too much reward breeds entitlement. Too much fear breeds revolt. But the ruler, the leader, the seducer who alternates between both, who withholds affection until it's craved, then delivers it at the moment of highest desire, creates loyalty stronger than iron. Consider abusive relationships that outsiders can't understand. Why does the victim stay? Because after cruelty comes kindness. After punishment comes reward. The cycle itself becomes addictive, binding the victim tighter than chains. Consider dictators who ruled for decades without being overthrown. Why? Because they punished enough to inspire terror, but rewarded just enough to prevent despair. And now, turn the mirror toward yourself. How do you influence others? Do you give endlessly, hoping they'll love you? That's weakness. Do you intimidate constantly, demanding obedience? That's short-sighted. The true Machiavellian mixes both like poison and honey, creating a dependency so deep that escape feels impossible. Ask yourself these questions. What does this person fear losing most? What do they crave most desperately? And how can I place myself as the one who controls both? But answer those questions, and you hold their leash. The lesson is merciless but undeniable. People are not bound by loyalty, not bound by love, not bound by morality. They are bound by fear and reward. Master those levers, and you master men. 13. Betrayal is inevitable. If there is one truth men fear most, it is this: betrayal is not the exception, it is the rule. Machiavelli saw it centuries ago, and history has confirmed it ever since. Alliances are fragile, promises are temporary. Oaths dissolve the moment they no longer serve the one who swore them. Think back through your own life. The friend who swore loyalty but disappeared the moment you were no longer useful. The company that promised stability only to discard you in the next round of layoffs. The partner who demanded your commitment while secretly keeping her options open. You've seen it, you just didn't want to admit it. Most men cling to the illusion that loyalty and love will shield them. They believe people are bound by morality, by gratitude, by history. But Machiavelli warned us, these bonds are illusions. Love fades. Gratitude evaporates. History is forgotten. The only bond that endures is interest. And here lies the brutal truth. Betrayal isn't a rare accident, it's inevitable. People will betray you the moment it costs them less to betray you than to stay loyal. They will cloak it in excuses, in justifications, in moral language. They'll say they had no choice. They'll say it wasn't what it looked like. But underneath, it's simple. Their interest changed. The weak man reacts to betrayal with shock. He collapses because he built his foundation on the lie of unconditional loyalty. The strong man expects betrayal. He knows it is only a matter of time. He plans for it. He tests allies constantly, watching who falters under pressure, who stands firm when there's nothing to gain. He builds contingency plans, so that when betrayal comes and it will come, he isn't surprised. He's ready. This is why Machiavelli insisted it is better to be feared than loved. Love can vanish in a heartbeat. Fear endures. Allies may betray affection, but they hesitate to betray strength. They may abandon loyalty, but they think twice when they fear the cost. Look at history. Caesar was assassinated by the very senators who once declared undying loyalty. Napoleon was abandoned by allies who had once begged for his favor. Corporations devour their own employees. Governments turn on their own citizens. Families fracture over inheritance. The pattern repeats endlessly because betrayal is not an accident, it's the law of human relations. So what do you do with this knowledge? You don't despair. You don't grow bitter. You adapt. You learn to treat loyalty not as a permanent bond, but as a contract that lasts only as long as interests align. You learn to withdraw loyalty swiftly, when it is no longer reciprocated. And above all, you stop being surprised when betrayal arrives at your door. The man who prepares for betrayal cannot be destroyed by it. The man who ignores betrayal is destroyed by everyone. 14. The Dance of Power. Lion and Fox. Machiavelli gave us one of his most enduring parables. The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps, and a lion to frighten wolves. In those few words, he revealed a law of survival that men still ignore today. Most men choose one path. They try to be the lion, strong, bold, aggressive. They face life head-on with brute force. But lions fall into traps they cannot see. Their pride blinds them, and their strength becomes useless the moment cunning is required. Others choose the path of the fox, clever, sly. Calculating, they avoid danger with trickery, manipulate with charm, and weave their way around conflict. But foxes cannot scare away predators. Their cleverness keeps them alive for a while, but when the wolves close in, cunning alone cannot save them. The man who chooses only one side, lion or fox, is doomed. But the man who learns to be both is untouchable. Think about it. In business, the lion charges forward, crushing competitors through scale and strength. But without the fox's cunning, he misses the trap hidden in contracts or regulations. In politics, the fox maneuvers with deals and smiles, but without the lion's force, he is devoured by stronger rivals. In relationships, the lion demands respect, but without the fox's subtlety, he sparks rebellion. The fox seduces, but without the lion's dominance, he loses attraction. The key is balance. Be the fox when you need to anticipate danger, when you need to spot the hidden motives of others, when traps are being laid around you. Be the lion when it's time to strike, when hesitation would mean death, when only strength will protect your position. Cunning without force is fragile. Force without cunning is reckless. Together, they are invincible. Look again at history. Alexander the Great wasn't just a warrior. He spread myths that he was divine, shaping perception before battles even began. That was the fox. Then he unleashed brutal force on the battlefield. That was the lion. Napoleon rewrote laws and charmed allies with diplomacy. The fox. Then he marched across Europe with relentless strength. The lion. Every enduring leader has learned this dance. But most men today are neither lion nor fox. They are sheep. They are told to be harmless, agreeable, kind. They are taught to fear strength and reject cunning. And so they are devoured, again and again. If you want to survive, if you want to rise, you must master both sides. You must be calculating enough to see traps before they spring, but powerful enough to crush the wolves that circle you. The world belongs not to the strongest, nor the cleverest, but to the few who are strong and clever at once. 15. Conclusion and closing. Walking into the abyss. Now you know what most men will never see. You've glimpsed the machinery behind human behavior, the laws of power hidden beneath politeness, morality, and illusion. You've seen that people are not rational, they are emotional. That loyalty without reciprocity is weakness. That reputation is sharper than steel. Trust is fragile as glass, and war is ever present, whether you acknowledge it or not. You've learned that masks, deception, and selective morality are not sins, they are survival tools. That fear and reward are the currencies of influence, and that cunning without strength or strength without cunning will leave you prey. 16. Time to take action. If you've made it this far, Congratulations, you've unlocked truths most men will never see. Now it's time to act. Knowledge is power, but only when applied. Here at Psychology Insights, we expose the hidden laws of human behavior, influence, and power that others don't want you to know. If you want more insights like this, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Don't miss a single video that can change the way you see the world. Comment below which lesson hit you the hardest. How will you start using it in your life today? We read every comment and love seeing viewers take control of their reality. Remember, the world doesn't reward the nice, the honest, or the blind. It rewards the prepared, the strategic, and the unstoppable. Subscribe now, stay sharp, and keep walking forward. The blindfold is off and it's time to take your power.